Okay, yeah, that looks alright. And I've got some heat shrink here. So first, let's see. Let's grab a bit of wire. Maybe some of this wire is just fine. It doesn't have to be very thick. While we are sending some 5 volts through it, it's going to be... Actually, I still have this wire over here as well. Let's use this one. Okay, we got some left over here. Yeah, it's plenty long, maybe even too long. I've got some shorter wire over here. Alright, let's use a slightly shorter one, just to kind of save on some wire. Let's go ahead and strip that, twist that, and tin that. Tip's a little bit dirty. Look, I had some fuzz on there. Oops, don't go that way. Alright. That looks pretty good. Now, let's clip our lead here down, because we don't need it to be too long. Not just to get a little bit of wire on there. Alright, I am going to use my helping hands, because I need a little bit of a helping hand here. That's looking better. Well, if I turn that a little bit, that'll be a little bit easier on me. Nice. Okay, so the thing about heat shrink is it's very easy to work with, but it's very easy to forget to put on. So if your wire is ever connected to something, you always have to remember to cut your appropriate length first, slide it on, and if you can, push it as far down as you can away from the end of your wire, so that the wire heating up when you solder to it doesn't then cause your tube to shrink prematurely, especially if there's something slightly larger that you have to go over. For example, the end of this resistor. I think I'm going to try to just go ahead and cover the whole resistor, because why not? So since this other end's free, I didn't have to worry about that. I can stick it on anytime. And there we go. Looks nice. Let's go ahead and get our hot air going. Alright. Oh, I had lowered my temperature the other day because I was trying to dry some paint really quick. Let's just turn that back up. There we go. That's probably warm enough. We can start shrinking it now. So a nice little trick that you can do with heat shrink tube is just use a lighter. A lighter, even the end of your, actually even what you might call the barrel of your soldering iron. A lighter works really well. I use the barrel of the soldering iron just to kind of keep the tip clean. But for the best results, hot air gun of some sort is the best. It works flawlessly and very quickly. We don't end up with burn marks on your heat shrink tube, and you don't end up with melted plastic on the barrel of your soldering iron. So it really is the best way to go. But if you don't have one, I recommend a lighter or your soldering iron. Just try not to use the tip, and you'll keep it clean. Okay, so there we go. Now, as I said before, the end of this is going to go down to ground, as well as pin 3. So let's go first to, well, let's first try to kind of line it up. And you know what we might go ahead and do is let me turn on my hot glue gun, and we'll go ahead and we'll put a dab of hot glue there. Let's see, which one of these is the hot glue? There we go. Alright, that's going to take a minute to warm up, but we'll set it there for now. And we'll go ahead and just kind of measure it out and see where we want it to be. You don't want it all the way to the top just in case something is spinning and we don't want to get it whacked or something. So somewhere down around in here looks alright to me. You can always bunch up the little bit of extra. Just get that out of the way. And working with electronics, you have to you got to strip a lot of wires, so I really do recommend these auto strippers. It's real fast, very easy. Save a lot of time, save a lot of headaches, save a lot of wire. Because when you make a mistake, for example, when you're trying to use just your clippers, your snips, pinchers, or whatever you want to call them in whatever language you might speak. Trying to do like this, for example, you got to be very light. You got to kind of twist, and you want to pull on it. And now I've practiced it a lot, so I don't do too bad. But what often happens is that you end up just clipping through the whole thing, and then your wire is suddenly shorter. And when you've already measured out the length of your wire, then you may have to put a new bit of wire on there. So if you have strippers and they're set properly so that you're not cutting through your wire, it's a little more reliable. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and connect this up to our ground. Now, for me personally, I double check this because if we look at our circuit here, and the circuit is correct, like I said, I double checked it. If you look at this, it basically looks like what we have happening is wait a second, you know what I did wrong? That's why. So what we need is we need our 10K wire to be connected to the ground, right? And that way we don't have our 5 volts being shunted directly to the ground. It shouldn't be between the, I mean, well, it is, but it should also be connected at the same time to, hold on, am I explaining this properly? Are you seeing the problem? I feel like I'm not explaining this properly, so let me take one more stab at it here. Let me put my soldering iron down. Let me grab something I can point with, maybe just my pen this time. Or, okay, how about my clippers here? So, with the way I've done this, it's kind of wrong, but we can make it correct very quickly, just simply by running another wire. And the reason we want to do that is because if we do it the way that I have it, what's going to happen is that our 5 volts when we connect is we have our right now our resistor over here, actually. Oh no, sorry. Well, it's over here, right? But it's not only going to ground at this point. Well, I mean, I suppose it is. But we were planning on then connecting our pin 3 to our ground, which would be wrong, right? What we need is we need our pin 3 to be connected on the other side of our resistor, right? We need our pin 3 connected up here on this side of the resistor. Why? Well, here's why. Because when we press the button, if we have it, let me quickly draw this the other way so you can see. Okay, we'll say this is our pin 3. And if we have resistor and then ground and then switch. Okay, this is ugly. I'm drawing upside down. I'm sorry. And then 5 volts. Okay, so currently this is what we're working on, and that's wrong, because what will happen is as soon as we hit our switch, our 5 volts is going to dump to ground, and the resistor is going to prevent our pin from seeing anything. That's not what we want. right? What we want is for currently the pin 3 to be connected to nothing except for ground through our resistor, so that when we press the button, then the 5 volt goes primarily to our pin 3. That's what we want, right? And so I've started to do this wrong. It was not my intention to do it wrong. Luckily this time I caught myself before we got too far. So what we're going to do, I think we can very easily just unsolder this. Now there's the end of our resistor. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to take this end of our resistor and connect this to our ground, okay? We'll just stick it down here like that. And that will allow us to then connect this to our button here. And then, oops, a little bit warm. Well, okay, anyways, I don't have to do that right away, and certainly not without my soldering iron. It's just that this little bit of solder's driving me a little bit crazy. There we go, that's better. So, there. There we go, good, it's gone. Alright, so what we want to do is make sure that we keep the 5 volts separated, and we make a direct connection. So what we actually should maybe consider doing, removing our heat shrink, right? And from just this side of the resistor, then we go to our pin 3. I think that's going to be our best way to do that. So, how you like them stalling tactics, huh? As I was picking at things and talking about things, I was also trying to figure out the correct way of connecting things. Okay, so there we go. Alright, we're reconnected to our button. Let's go ahead and remove this this heat shrink. We'll stick another piece on there. I don't want to cut through anything but my heat shrink. There we go. Get a little bit of it. Typically, if you can get just a little bit of a cut into your heat shrink, you can just kind of pull it off. But I need a little bit more because I can't quite grab it. Well, almost there. Oh, we're getting there. There we go. Okay. There we are. Alright, the heat shrink is nice and sturdy, isn't it? Alright, so let's go ahead. We'll hook this up to our ground, just right here on top, I believe. We'll try to angle it so that it will actually, you know what? Remember what I said about having your heat shrink be able to go on from the opposite end? Well, currently we're not able to do that. So what we're going to do, go ahead and clip off a bit of heat shrink here, run it over our resistor and down, pull it way down next to our button so we don't accidentally get it start shrinking before we want it to. Now I want to, if I can, carefully get this soldered on in a way such that I'm not shorting anything out. Of course, I've got the heat shrink that's going to help out with that. Now, doing it this way might result in, oh, that's warm. There we go. And our button being slightly out of place, but no, we gave it a little bit of extra, and it looks like I managed to get it done just right. So we didn't lose any of our length, really. Okay, there we go. Let's get our hot air back on. Try not to leave this on any one spot long enough for our solder to start coming undone and causing problems for us. But it only really takes just a little bit of heat for a heat shrink. and a little bit of time to get it to start shrinking up, so we should be okay. We can alternate cool air and hot. Also help prevent that from happening. And of course, it's the cooling air that really helps the heat shrink to tighten down, I believe. It seems that way to me. Okay, try not to move that too much. We don't want to damage our wire and cause it to break on our resistor. Alright. So, oh, you know what I did again? Oh my god. Mistake after mistake after mistake. I was supposed to solder to the other side of this. Oh boy. Alright, well. Here we go again. Oh man. It's not my day today. I'm making goofs left and right. Alright, can we get this thing back off of here? Alright. Third time's the charm. Okay. Let's grab a little bit of wire. I've got a short piece around here somewhere. Well, not particularly. This piece, I suppose, is about as short as it come. That's okay. Alright, first, let's grab a bit of heat shrink, because I'm going to do this in a little bit of a funky way. Stick this on first. Pull it down. Put the other end of my wire here. Let's go ahead and tin it up. Did I do? Nope. What about the other one? I don't think so. Okay. No pre-tinned wires, unfortunately. Alright. I guess it's been a fairly long day. I'm currently waiting on some people to come by and pick up some things that I was making for them. So I might have to disappear for a second to take care of that when they come in. And I got that project done today. A couple other people come in to the makerspace, and it's been an alright day. But here I am, just before 9 p.m. and maybe I'm getting a little tired. But if I can, I would like to get this finished up, and we're really, really close. This button is pretty much the last electronic thing we're going to do. And then I've got some carpet sitting right here next to me, ready to get wrapped around this thing. So I might have to get the air compressor out and use some nails from the air compressor. This is just going to fall over, I'm sure of it. But let's try to prevent that. Alright, that looks okay. Alright, so now, is that going to be strong enough? Maybe it will. Let's see how far we want to go. Not so far, so we'll clip this somewhere right in here. We'll have wire management inside of a project is always a problem. I've seen other people say the same thing, and I completely agree with them. Keeping your wires organized and not taking up too much space inside of a small area that you're working with is not an easy feat. And so you should try to keep your wires the correct length. However, I find that having a little bit of extra, since I tend to make mistakes, is a great idea. However, I try to make my extra as minimal as possible, because too much extra is a big problem. Alright, so let's just get a little bit here. On the sides would be best, not covering up our hole, so we can work with our hole there. There we go. Well, I still cover up the hole, that's alright. Let's get that in there. Almost got it. And we're connected, but I would like it to go into that hole a little bit better. How about, I don't know, there's a problem. I'm starting to split my insulation because my wires, even though I tinned them, I was kind of pushing on them a little bit, and they're starting to come apart, which is putting pressure on the insulation, which is splitting the insulation, and that's always a big problem. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Put a bit more here. Make a blob. I'm going to go straight onto that blob, and I'm going to bend this thing over and just try to make a little like hook-like shape out of it. There we go. Kind of take up some of that extra. We don't want this thing hanging around. We don't want it bumping into anything. And then we're going to solder it right down into our blob. Alright, that looks okay. Now, quickly, what I'm going to do, look for any shorts. Use my magnifying glass here. I rarely use this magnifying glass just because I have like some of those magnifying headset things, but in a pinch this works really well. Now, what I'm worried about is that we accidentally are connecting to pin 4, but it looks like we're not. Now, I'm also a little bit worried about this resistor here. Or is that a capacitor? It might be a capacitor. I want to make sure we're not bridging any of that. I think we're okay. We'll probably not use pin 4 or 5 anyway, so even if we were to touch it a little bit, it's probably not a problem, but no sense in touching it needlessly. Okay, looks good. Now, let's go ahead and move this over to here as carefully and well as we can. Get this to touch back. Something about like that. Hope you can see that all right. I know these wires are a little bit in the way, but if the wires aren't in the way, my finger's in the way, right? I'm touching the insulation on that wire, and that's not good. Whew, that was getting hot. Just gotta sometimes fight through the pain of the soldering iron. Alright, so then as we pull this wire down and around a little bit, I'm hoping we'll be able to properly insulate this. I hope. It's a tight fit. I'm not convinced it's going to work well. Well, give it a shot. Experiment, see if it works out in my favor. Well, if we look at that and we consider everything, it really shouldn't touch anything else. So I don't think we're going to have a short there. I think we're going to be okay. That's not a solder job to be proud of, for sure. However, it looks like it's a solder job that will get the job done, I guess. I think that's okay. If you can see that. Can you see that okay? Is it in the light? I hope you can see that okay. Yeah, it's not great, but I think it's gonna work. So let's go ahead and, for the third time, shrink down our heat shrink. Definitely had a little too much. I was really hoping to be able to have that go a little bit further down, but that's okay. As long as it works, we're happy. All right. That's good enough. Okie dokie. And one more thing we have to do is run a 5-volt wire to the other side of our button. And then we should be okay. Since I have a little bit of red here, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off and use it. So, boom, boom, boom. Let's try to get this as close as we can. That looks about right. Now this wire, I'm really not sure if I'm going to be able to strip this with these auto strippers. Oh no, I cannot. Pulled the end right off there. Yep, there it is. And hardly any wire poking out of there. So what we're going to have to do, there's a couple ways we could do this actually. Sometimes just a little heat applied will get the insulation to kind of pull back. And if it's enough, right? But since I did make this just a tiny bit long, let's see if I can't give her the old snip, twist, strip. Almost. Oh, almost. Yeah, okay. That worked out all right. If you have a little bit of fingernails, it helps when you see that it's really just about to come off of there. Give up on your snips. Use your fingernail, and that way you don't accidentally snip through the rest of your wire. Okay. It might be a little hard to get that in kind of a twist before we tin, but I got a couple twists on it. That's good. Alright, looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and connect up down here. Excellent. Now, same thing on this end. Excellent. And the other side of our button. Come on, come on. Hold still for me there. There we go, that's better. Now what I'd like to do real quick, the hot glue gun looks like it's nice and warm and dripping glue as they do. What I would like to do real quick, just double check and make sure this is a 5-volt line, because it's, like I said, it's been a couple days since I've worked on this, and I hate to make a mistake at this point. This is my ground wire here, and it goes way over here to this other side, and here's my 5-volt wire here, which looks like it has a couple of small wires broken out, which I'm not happy about. Might have to try to solder those down real quick. I don't want those flying around shooting 5 volts everywhere, but yes, that is my 5-volt line. Looks like a couple that maybe the auto strippers kind of freed from their cell of twisting, kind of got loose, and that's better. That should hold them. Okay, I feel better about that. Great. I'd also feel better about having my fume extractor going, even if it's not really doing much for me. There we go. Okay, how are we? Let's get this down here. Looks okay. Maybe even those little twists around each other just to kind of package them up a little bit better than they currently are. Is that doing me any good? Well, doesn't seem to be doing me any damage. Maybe it's okay. Let's go ahead and hot glue like crazy right here. Come on. I said like crazy, not like mediocre. There we go. Let's just set that right down in there. Oh no! I don't want my button to flip around in there. Maybe twisting the wires was a bad idea. Let's get it close to the top, but not all the way at the top. Lots of blowing to solidify this stuff as quickly as possible. Oh, it's getting thicker. It's getting there. It's getting there. Maybe give it a little bit of a push, kind of flatten this out. Sorry if you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to get this in here quickly, easily. That's not too bad. Now, just to help things along, I'm going to put a little bit more hot glue on here, on top of these wires. Push it into the old glue. And if we can, even just a little bit on the side. Without getting it into my switch. So hot glue is another one of those things that you kind of build up a tolerance for, I believe, as far as the heat goes. So sometimes you have to kind of hold it with your finger, and it burns, don't get me wrong. And it can, depending on how long you're holding it and how hot it is, it can give you a nasty, nasty blister and burn. But if you're careful, you can withstand the heat, and you can hold something that's covered in hot glue and really help to fit it in the right spot. But that looks okay to me. It's in a good spot. Not bad. More or less straight. Looks all right. Okay. Now let's stick our sensor. First we need to probably mock things up here. I don't want to glue down especially the Digispark, but maybe not even my little circuit board here, just in case I have to do some resoldering or something. Because if I go ahead and start gluing it all now, then I may regret it. So let's get things kind of fit in here. Can move that around in all this extra space from our nice fat bit that we used for the routing. Let's go ahead and put that in about right spot. Stick a little hot glue here and here. And go ahead and set that down. You know what? I probably should have done the other side first, just because that's the one with the wire that's a little bit short. And by doing this one first, I'm setting myself up to have them uneven. However, if I remember correctly, that was about the distance that we had on the other side from the top. So maybe it's going to be okay. Let's go ahead and loop this around and see. Try to keep our wire in all the right spots. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Actually, we even have a little bit more extra space there. That's perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do real quick, just because I'd like to try to keep this straight if possible. And I won't be able to look at it all the time, so let's just mark here and here and here. That way, stick down our hot glue. We can still line it up in the right spots. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's nice how quickly a hot glue sometimes solidifies. It really allows you to prototype something decently in a reasonable amount of time. Let's go ahead and also maybe stick some on under our wires here, just so that we can keep them out of the way, keep them secured. Alright, now we're going to have to take a break for a second because my camera doesn't like to shoot videos for much over 40 minutes, and we're getting close to 40 minutes. So that also means this is probably the end of this episode, because I want to try to keep these videos about 30 minutes if I can. Maybe I'll do a little bit editing, and maybe it'll get combined with another day's work or something, who knows. But anyways, need to at least take a quick break. Maybe I'll have a soda or something. How's this looking? That's not too bad. There's still a little bit poking out there, but we've got the carpet that's going to go over it. It should be okay. Okay, last thing I'm going to do here is just pour some glue on these wires. Try not to get it into my motor cavity because I don't want glue getting into my motor. But that looks alright. That'll hold those wires down. Okay, that's looking all right. What do you think? I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. We have our Digispark. We'll be able to fit that maybe just a little bit better in there once we get things put, yeah, where we want them. All right, that's perfect. This side might be about as good as it's going to get, but I don't want to glue it just yet. Alright, that's looking pretty good. And this is still for our power, which we will connect up later, and we'll also put a little bit of glue here to kind of help relieve some stress. But okay, that's it for now. I will be back very soon to hopefully continue working on this and finish it up. And so we will call this an episode for now. Whether or not it becomes one, we'll see. I mean, it might, like I say, get chopped up and added on something else. But that's it for now. I'll see you next time.